I got a little hustler in the crowd, all right? I got a little worker. And I told him that. I said, you sandbagging son of a bitch. And I shake his hand, and he gave me this big old Irish grin, and I walked out the door.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'm Daniel Cormier. That's Chael Sonnen. Chael P. Hey, you and I have been friends for years. I've known you since 1998, 99, when you were wrestling for the Ducks of Oregon. But there have been times where I don't see you for years. And if I'm being quite honest, like, I think about you at times, but not all the time, right? And it's okay if you don't think about me daily. But because I've been seeing you, I missed you this weekend, man. What did y'all do?
I missed you, and I do think about you a lot more than you might think. I mean, I'm not always like wondering how's Daniel and wishing well. Sometimes I'm thinking about how I can bring demise to Daniel. How can I bring heartache and disruption to Daniel's life? But I do think about you a lot. Yeah. What ended up happening, my daughter discovered a sushi restaurant up the road here that has a robot that will bring you the food. And so my daughter walks in the room and she had like $3 and a dollar bill, and she was letting my wife Brittany and I know she's gonna take us out to lunch today. And she took us up to the sushi track, told us to get whatever we wanted. And wouldn't you know, it all came within the $3 and a dollar bill. It was quite a good bargain.
It's a good deal. So we're here now for the next month. So I've scoped out. I got me a casino, Chael. I found me a nice casino, walked in there. It's a local one. So everybody was excited that I was in there. Dude, the manager gives me his card, tells me to come in there. They'll take care of me when I get steak. I'm like, do you understand? By telling me that he'll give me free meals at the steakhouse, I will take advantage of this. Don't think that by offering this up as a nice gesture, I will not call you on it. People think, Chael, they can go, hey, Chael, we'd love to have you in for dinner. You come, get whatever you want. Thing is, I'll get whatever I want. They don't understand the game with me, Chael P.
What's the place? What casino? See, I've always wanted to have a casino, a place where I could go. But where'd you end up at?
It's right around the corner. It's called the, it's like the Silverado or something, Joe.
All right. And do you play when you're there? Are you a blackjack player?
Oh, my God. Jake Casper did the craziest thing the other day. So Jacob Casper, who is a WWE superstar, and he's like black, right? At least to me. He goes, walks up, drops all of his chips on black, wins, massive cash out, then plays the numbers and won another. That dude won 87-1 on a $25 bet. Jake Casper, the dude's the luckiest guy in the world.
On roulette?
Yes, the one where you drop the ball, you spin it, and it goes. He hit the number. He hit the number. It won
87-1 at anything is just a beautiful payout. I'm very happy for him. Good for him.
Yeah, dude, he's good. Okay, so all this is happening because Chael and I are here for Tough, right? We're working out with these kids twice a day. And Chael, when you're in there with these guys and they're so excited and their dreams are right on, you're encouraged to work out with them. I have not been beat and hit on like this for so many years. How you enjoying the first few days that we've done so far? We've only had to train them on a Thursday and Friday, but how are you enjoying it so far? Opposed to the other grind.
It is a grind. I will tell you, as a member of Team Quest, nothing broke up Team Quest more than the Ultimate Fighter. We had our hooks into the program from season 1 where Randy Couture was the first coach, and we had Chris Lieben and Nate Quarry got to go. I mean, from season 1 on, I've never had a teammate do the Ultimate Fighter and then come back and still be my teammate. Not one single person. This event, for whatever, but it will pull people apart. And I'm feeling it with my own coaching staff, where we're starting to get on each other's nerves. And I don't know why that is, Daniel. I don't know if it's the lights, if it's the cameras. My whole life, I go to practice every day, twice a day. Yep. All we're doing here is going to practice every day, twice a day. There's something about those cameras, man, and there's something about egos, and they can get interrupted real fast, and I feel it too. But I will tell you, I feel like as the head coach, my ultimate job is managing and just keeping everyone together for as long as I can.
Yeah, keep them together and keep them positive for the kids, right? It's different because guys get excited. But I tell you, man, we had a workout Friday night, and I had a couple coaches trying to motivate the kids. And Chael, you always wonder why on movies the coach is like in the kid's face with his forehead on him. Rah, rah. my coaches were doing that. And I was like, oh my God, these guys are trying to make TV, man. I had a couple of them trying to make TV, Chael. It was crazy because I can see it. It was embarrassing. I'm like, I wonder if this makes it from the chopping floor or does this get into the show? Because I always wonder what people truly want to see. But I believe that on this season of The Ultimate Fighter, the best thing is I've gotten, I'm pretty sure you do too, a whole bunch of kids that are so excited to learn. They don't question anything. They work exceedingly hard, and they just really try. I got to be honest, though. I was a little surprised, Chael, that we worked out on Thursday twice. We worked out on Friday twice. And by the end of Friday, the kids were telling me, hey, coach, I'm a little sore. Right? Isn't that a little fast? Does it feel like 2 days is a little fast to be like beat down again? Because again, for us, JLP, that would be Monday practice and Tuesday practice. We still got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Daniel, I got a little hustler on my team. Okay, he had to skip practice because he was locking up because he was dehydrated. Oh, now, how are you going to go and get dehydrated when we've only had 3 practices and you have access to all the water that you want? Like, a person can't just get dehydrated, but he got dehydrated. So I go over to the house to check on him the following morning. What do I find? When I go up there, everybody's downstairs. Both teams are mingling. One guy's cooking spaghetti. The other guys are talking. Somebody else has got the cards out. They tell me this is upstairs. I find naked getting a massage from a female. And I'm seeing this whole thing all because he was cramping up. This was all part of his master plan. I think he worked this whole thing, and they ended up having a massage therapist come over who happened to be female, took him in a different room, and is rubbing him down all the way down to his fingers and toes. I got a little hustler in the crowd, all right? I got a little worker, and I told him that. I said, you sandbagging son of a bitch. And I shake his hand, he gave me this big old Irish grin, and I walked out the door. That was our entire meeting.
That is so funny. It's crazy, though, because you really are managing a team, and you're managing a whole bunch of different personalities. The one thing that I've seen so far, I haven't heard, is like there's just a guy that everybody can't stand. That will show itself throughout the season. It just hasn't happened yet. So, Chael, George St. Pierre is one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. Last week, he was at the Four Nations Hockey in Canada, right? So GSP goes out there. He gets this outstanding ovation. But anytime a guy that lives in a country that has a trophy of him in his hometown, you put him on the screen, you're going to get an ovation. You know what it's like, Chael? It's like Mick Foley, right? His name is, he went around for a while as Dude Love. He went around as Cactus Jack. He went around as Mick Foley. One of the greatest characters in WWE, Mankind. He would do this. Hey, Chael, we're out in Las Vegas, Nevada, and he would do this. And they go, oh my God, yeah. They call it the cheap pop, right? The cheap pop. You want a cheap pop? Throw GSP on the screen, right? You throw a guy with a statue anywhere in that country on the screen, you get the cheap pop. GSP is known for fighting. The moment GSP gets off the screen, Chael, 3 fights happen. 3 fights happen. They're fighting on skates. What about you? You think you could fight on skates, Chael?
Yes. Yes, I do. I never understood this. There was something way back, the Portland Winterhawks, which is a semi-pro league, but it was very big for Portland. And they had this guy called Baduke. And if you broke it down, it was spelled Bad Duke. Baduke, and they brought him in, and he wasn't very good at scoring. He wasn't very good at playing, but he was the enforcer. And apparently, all the way up to the NHL level, they will hire somebody and bring him over just to be an enforcer. Yep. DC, it doesn't matter if it's on skates or it's on water. A fight is a fight. It doesn't change. I would maul those guys, and I would maul them quickly.
You can't take them down, though, Chael. And Chael, those skates are so dangerous. Dude, I tried to skate. Well, first off, last Coach's Challenge, I won on skates. It was the most... It really still is today one of my greatest accomplishments because I couldn't stand up. I was blocking balls. I was blocking pucks in the goal and falling every time and somehow grabbing the goal to get back to my feet, Chael, to stand up long enough to wait for Stipe to try to hit it at me again. Then I would block another one. It was the craziest Coach's Challenge. He scored the first 3, and then I stopped 7 in a row to beat him 4-3, Chael. It was nuts. Anyhow, the skates are dangerous because it was such an amazing moment in my career, Chael. So once, Chael, I had this coach. He goes, you got to split, like just make yourself big. So I start to fall, Chael. So I kind of split, and when I went to kind of like split my legs, Stipe then hits me in the groin with the puck. He hits me in the groin with the puck. Then he goes, on the next one, Daniel, when he comes close to you, just kind of dive at him with your stick. Well, Chael, part of the reason I dove was because I was falling, and that time I was falling forward. So I stick my stick out at Stipe. He knocks it over. We get so excited. My whole team rushes the ice, but I fall. When I fall, Chael, my feet go up because I'm like, yes. My coach runs onto the ice. He's in sneakers, trips, falls headfirst into the skate, Chael.
Oh.
The biggest cut on his eye. This guy's bleeding like one of the biggest cuts of all time. You can't just fight like we fight on skates because the skates are so dangerous. If you fall, you're going to cut yourself open.
Yeah, and Daniel, they have some kind of an honor. I mean, first off, they're covered in Kevlar. It's like seeing a fight on the football field. Who would possibly care or engage in that? You can't hurt a guy. You got these big hand things, and then they got the helmets in hockey. But they have like this code of honor where they'll grab each other and they'll punch or they'll pull the shirt over, but then they'll stop. Why don't they ever trip one another? Like I would imagine Khabib or Islam would be very good in hockey. Why wouldn't they just sweep them, put them down, and then we win? They never think about that. They never think about the sweep.
They just kind of stop too. Imagine if you when they get the best of a guy, they stop. They don't go for a follow-up. If a dude falls down in front of me, I've never been that guy that takes the high road. When your opponent goes down, I'm hitting them with the follow-up shot, Joe. I'm sorry, man. I'm landing the follow-up shot. We live for that moment, right? Because it doesn't happen very often. You put a guy out, like you let Brian Stann out of that submission. Why? Why'd you let him out so fast? You got to squeeze him a little more.
Sure. No, I know what you're saying. There's a big theory on that. My father had a theory on that. My father had a theory that the fight is over once you have convinced the guy that at a later time, he does not try to fight you again. My dad also thought that fights weren't just for right now, that you gotta convince that guy and anybody else watching this is a bad idea. So I hear you on that. But I still think that the sweep should be part of it. I mean, they don't go sweeps. They don't go double legs. They don't really do anything. It's this dirty form of boxing. You know, can I tell you where my real gripe comes? My gripe comes from the fans, okay? You will get an arena to fill up on the outside chance that a fight might break out. Then we'll hold a UFC right next door the next night, and we'll hope to fill up an arena, and it's not guaranteed. We can promise a fist fight will absolutely break out, but you don't get it, and that part confuses me. I watch those hockey fans, man, they get so into it because somebody might do something. It's like, well, there's actually a sport where they're for sure going to do it. Have you heard of that? That's an old argument. You know, that one's back from the 90s. Now the answer is yes, people can fill up an arena for MMA, but I've just never understood the concept.
Yeah, well, you hope for a fight. Dude, there's no better feeling, though, when you're around people and they might fight, like, especially normal people. If normal people are going to fight, strap in. You're in for, like, a fantastic time because they're going to do some crazy stuff. They're going to kick, punch. They're going to kick and punch at the same time. They're going to turn sideways. They're going to do this thing. That's my favorite. When two normal people fight and one guy gets hit, boom, he kind of gets his head spun to the side and he kind of like tries to hit back, but he's like kind of looking out the corner of his eye. It's so little skill. People can't fight. It's the funniest thing watching. It's amazing that there are so many men, Chael, walking God's green earth that just cannot fight. It's really crazy. And they're old too. They're like 40-year-old men who can't fight. But I know one 40-year-old man that can fight, Jared Cannonier. Did you see that dude last weekend? Did you see him take his shirt off? How big and strong he is still. And then he goes out there and survives the biggest onslaught of punches I've seen in a long time from Gregory Rodrigues, who went out there like he was going to knock him out in the first round, then hits him with the nastiest elbow I have seen in a really, really long time, and then finishes him in the next round. How impressed were you by Jared Cannonier's performance?
I was extremely impressed, and it's not the first time. Daniel, I got to meet him one time, and I do what we call the bro hug, where I do the handshake, but then I go over the top, I kind of touch him here. it was like touching a brick wall. I mean, this was Jared Cannonier. He was so solid and so dense. We had a very brief conversation. I'm not convinced he knew who I was. I think he was like at times playing along and being polite. So I was trying to give him little name drops about, back when I was in your shoes or whatever I would say, some story about myself. I don't know if he ever caught on, but the bottom line is I was up there with a very serious athlete. And I love the Jared Cannonier story, the true backstory. He was a truck driver in Alaska going heavyweight, smoking all day long. I mean, there were so many things that were interesting to now have a main event on the worldwide leader of ESPN style athlete. He's a top contender. I mean, when you talk about who's going to be a backup fight, I do believe that we're going to do Chimaev and Dricus du Plessis, but if you want to start talking backup fights, Jared Cannonier would go right in there. And he's been a little slow to get over with the audience. He's a little bit more straightforward, doesn't quite have that flash or flare that I think could really boost him when you're talking about main event status, but as far as being impressed, yes, I am very impressed with Jared Cannonier.
So I was like you said, you had a conversation with him. That was the first time, like in a post-fight interview, I had a conversation. Jared was just he was talking to me like we were on the phone. He's like, when I was doing this and we did this, we manifested this. And he went on, one answer was like 2.5 minutes. So I'm like tapping him on his back like this, right? I felt exactly what you felt. He's freaking strong, dude. This dude went from heavyweight when he was a little chubby to 185. Now he's just made of granite. Here's the problem with Jared Cannonier. And I would love for Kirsten to put the rankings up in the chat. But the problem is he's lost to so many guys ahead of him. I don't know, though, if he's already... Did he fight Dricus du Plessis? Has he fought du Plessis before? Because if he hasn't, right? So he hasn't fought DDP, Chael, like you said. Now it becomes a little more interesting because we've seen him fight all these other dudes before. Now, he's already lost to Izzy. He lost to Whitaker. He beat Sean Strickland, right? I think Imavov got him too, right? So a lot of the guys ahead of him have beaten him. So he's in this weird situation where it's not as clear that he could be fighting next. But yes, I do believe, Chael, that a backup type of situation would then propel him forward. But I think does Imavov actually take the backup fighter for Chimaev versus DDP? If he does, right, it puts Cannonier out of the spot. But if he doesn't want to do that, if I'm Jared Cannonier, I'm like, yes, I won my last fight. I know I had lost 2 prior, but I won my last fight. I'm willing to make the weight. I'm willing to take it on the off chance that something happens, that I'll be there. Just to make sure, and you know what I'm using as an example, Chael? I'm going, you need a backup fighter because you don't want what happened in Los Angeles to happen again. Because it was very clear that Islam was just better than Moicano. And it didn't look the way you expect that pay-per-view to look.
Yeah, I agree with that. And 185 is about as clear as mud anyway. I believe that Chimaev is going to be next for Dricus du Plessis, but we haven't made that official yet. And it gets me very curious. Well, what is it that we're waiting on? There's all sorts of rumors around Chimaev, including travel advisories, where he can get and his ability to move around the world. You're going to have a guy be your world champion that does international business. It's important that he can get to the dance. I don't know how true those rumors are. Chimaev has been very quiet lately. Chimaev has been even trolling fans lately. He's kind of enjoying us guessing about it. But until we get some clarity at the very top of that division, it's hard to put the rest of the pieces in order.
Yeah, it's very hard. And Jared Cannonier is one of those guys that is going to, for a long time, be around the top because he's that good. But, I mean, he's already fought Bohalio. He's fought Imavov. He's fought Whitaker. He's fought Izzy. I mean, it's a lot, right? It's a lot of guys. But what he did show last weekend was that he's not ready to be like cannon fodder for the up-and-coming guys yet. RoboCop is a guy that looked like he could truly make his way into that top 7, 8, but Cannonier once again shuts the door there. Do you like when that happens, Chael? When you see the guy? Because you and I talk about it all the time, and we always put it in pro wrestling terms, how you do business on the way out. Do you like when the guy goes, nope, not yet, I'm staying, I'm still here, and you're going to have to wait your time in terms of the young guy getting beat by the older guy?
There is definitely something honorable about it. It's just that story, when it gets played out through history, 9 out of 10 times goes the same way. And we do find out that that younger guy is just a little bit fresher, a little bit faster. He's got a little bit different perspective as far as the skill base goes. And it's not a part of the business that I don't like. It's just a part of the business that I wish guys would observe. Somebody did it for them. Somebody got them to that spot. Charles Oliveira is one of the finest examples because Charles Oliveira went on to be famous and a main eventer and a world champion, but the Charles Oliveira story does not exist without Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson was that big star with a higher ranking. A number of those guys could get beat, but you couldn't get anybody to play with them. And Tony Ferguson got up in the loft and he put the ladder down so that Oliveira could climb that behind him. And I think it's a very necessary part of the business. I think it's done that way throughout history for the right reasons.
I remember that. I remember that's when I knew Charles Oliveira. Because Charles Oliveira still had that little bit of that he could quit stink on him until he grabbed Tony Ferguson. Remember he had him in that arm bar where we thought he was going to break his arm. He picked him up and just threw him down. I was like, oh my God, where did this Charles Oliveira come from? And he took that and went on to become a world champion and probably one of the funnest world champions we've had in a really long time. Jared Cannonier's been in the game for a long time. But another person that's been in the game for a long time is Angela Hill. Dude, she has fought so many of the best women in the world. Last weekend, she got another victory at 40 years old, too. I can't believe Jared Cannonier and Angela Hill are 40 years old. It just like makes me feel so old. But the fact that she won again, and this time she won a split decision. She's been on the wrong end of a lot of split decisions where they're very close. They can go either way. She got the job done last weekend. She's now won 3 or 4. She's 40 years old. Watching these athletes compete at this age, Chael, watching them continue to win, is it telling us that the fighting game is starting to go to a point like other sports, like LeBron's is playing at 40. Aaron Rodgers was still playing. Tom Brady played at 45. Are the athletes in fighting now getting it to the point that they can extend these careers into the 40s? Because generally, it's a young man's sport or a young woman's sport. But Angela Hill has now won 3 or 4, and she's 40 years old.
Sure. I remember Randy Couture, the night he beat Tim Sylvia, he was 42 years old, but he kept that belt up to 44 years old. John Jones, listen to this. If John Jones can bookend this, now here's what I mean by the bookend. He was the youngest champion to ever do it. If John can remain the oldest champion to have ever done it, and he has the front and the back, even a hater like me gets put in a very tough position to say that's not the greatest of all time. John's still got 3 years to go, but 3 years at John Jones' pace is only 3 fights, Daniel.
Yeah.
He might be able to do it. And if he's the youngest and the oldest, man, we don't have much to talk about anymore.
And all we want to do is hate on all we want to do is hate on his greatness at times because you're like, man, come on. And this guy just wins all the time. But yes, it's becoming a game where you can stay longer. And I think Angela proves that because I watched her fight last weekend and didn't see a slowed down version. I didn't see a woman that looks like she's on her way out. And Jared Cannonier either. It looked to me like if push came to shove, these two fighters could go for another 3 years, 4 years. And it doesn't seem like they're even thinking retirement. I remember when I got to 39, I spoke all about being done by 40. I want to be done by 40. I want to be done. I knew that the body could not continue into the 40s and compete at the level that I wanted to. But you look at these fighters today, and Angela Hill, she takes great care of herself physically. She works extremely hard. She's mentally strong. She's now doing television stuff where she's able to, and she is a tremendous analyst, she's able to really observe and watch the fighters from the outside with a clear view. And I think that that's showing in her performances. I think that her performances show that all the work she's doing inside the octagon and outside the octagon is paying dividends. And that was a massive victory for her last weekend.
And Daniel, by the way, Daniel, I couldn't help but notice the way that you set up this question. Is there a rumor going on? Is there something percolating behind the scenes that Angela Hill might be saying goodbye sometime soon? Or are you just speculating because she's been around so long?
She's been around for a while, man, and fighting the best. That's why, right? Because she's been fighting the best at the highest level, and now she's fighting those younger athletes that are trying to make their way up in the rankings. And anytime, they have to take note of that, Chael. They have to take note of that as an athlete, right? You know, if I would have stuck around, Chael, and I was fighting John Jones, and I was fighting Stipe Miocic, and I'm fighting all these world title fights against the best guys in the world, and then I would step into that octagon and I'm looking at Chris Dawkins. All right, I look at 205. I'm standing across the octagon from a guy like
Johnny Walker.
Yes. I'm like, okay, this is different, right? This is different. And this has to be in part due to the fact that I'm not competing at the level that I was before, and I'm getting older. So you can see the world around you and know that, man, they're trying to get this guy Johnny Walker over, and they're trying to get him over through me. You've got to recognize that. And I know that Jared and Angela have to recognize it, but fortunately for them, they're able to still get victories and push those younger athletes back to the back of the line. We had another great fight last weekend. Chael, Andre Petroski fought against Rodolfo Vieira. We expected, Chael, that it would be a grappling match, right? Because Vieira is just this tremendous grappler. Petroski's a tremendous grappler and wrestler. We got a striking match. Petroski wins. But even before the fight, Petroski was saying he wanted Bo Nickal. To me, Petroski is really setting the path, Chael, for trying to steal the thunder of Bo Nickal. After the fight, calls him back again. I want Petroski. Petroski, I want Bo Nickal. Where you at, Bo Nickal? Give me Bo Nickal. And you know what's kind of crazy in that situation, though? They give these great call-outs. Where you at, Bo Nickal? I want Bo Nickal. Where are you? And it's crickets in the apex. It's crickets in the apex. Generally, you hear that big explosion. Rah! It's not there. Does that hurt? Does that hurt those call-outs, Chael? Just not having that reaction from the crowd?
Yes. That immediate gratification and that immediate feedback really is important because the promoter's there, the promoter listening. Promoter likes an idea, but he really likes it when you take it to a focus group and make sure that they also like the idea. Look, I got to tell you something. I got to butt myself into this. But Daniel, when you and I announced the Ultimate Fighter that we were going to be coaching this, they bring me down from ESPN onto the floor. So I come inside, one fight happens, and it was D. Renner's fight. It was D. Renner out there competing, and then I slide over near you. We make the announcement all the fighters going to happen, and then they guide me through the back and upstairs. But as they bring me through the back to go upstairs, a member of D. Renner's team had come up and said our plan was to call out Bo Nickal. But whatever happened in the moment, whatever question Joe Rogan asked, or maybe the interview went by too quickly, but he forgot to do it. He just forgot to call out Bo Nickal. I love that idea. So I went upstairs on ESPN and said, by the way, apparently D. Renner's plan was to call out Bo Nickal. That is now turning into something. I'm just sharing with you. Like, I'm not ready to make an announcement for you, but that is starting to turn into something. And Denier versus Bo Nickal is a fantastic fight. I got no problem with anybody else calling him out, but like so many other things, the first one, sometimes the one that gets fed, right? The first one to the trough. I think maybe Bo Nickal's plate is full right now.
It's full, maybe, but like for Petroski to call him out, that's a great one. And also for Petroski to call him out, Chael, I think it's the right time for Petroski because Petroski is a wrestler himself. Sure, he's not the wrestler of the level of Bo Nickal, but he's a better striker, or at least he seems more willing to go in the fire than Bo Nickal at this point. But I just don't know. If I'm being completely honest, like right after the fight, I walked back to the desk and Sean Shelby was there. And I was like, what do you think? And Chael, the reaction didn't make me feel like it was much. It didn't make me feel like they were like into it. It just didn't seem that way. And you know that's where Sean Shelby tops out, right? No, that's actually McMaynard's weight class, 185. But Sean was like, Bo goes, I'm not supposed to fight cans anymore, but sure, I'll take an easy fight when it comes to Petroski. But I don't think the Petroski fight is as easy for Bo Nickal as he's saying. But yes, Renier de Ritter, that's his name, Renier de Ritter. How do you say his name? Renier? How do you say his name, Chael?
Well, I thought it was D. Ritter, but now that somebody's throwing an I in there, maybe it is D. Ritter. Actually, D. Ritter sounds good, but how if I say his name and what his name actually is, just so you understand, like, are two different things? But he's the tall guy. Okay, he come over from Europe by way of 1FC. He was a two-division champion of 1FC. The guy's the threat.
And he put it on Kevin Holland. Like that's the one that put it on Kevin Holland in LA, right? I swear to God, I didn't, I'll be honest with you. I had no idea who he was in like December. And I was like, who's Kevin Holland fighting? And they said, RDR. They called him RDR, Renia de Ritter or something like that. And I was like, who in the world is Renia de Ritter? And then he beat some guy in his debut. And I was like, oh, he's actually pretty good. And then we beat Kevin Holland like that. I was like, well, this dude's really good. I don't know Chael if I'm putting Bo Nickal in with that guy right now. I'm sorry, Chael. I'm sorry. Too much experience. Too much experience.
You're right. You're right. It's something to consider. What are you going to do with him, though? I mean, that really becomes the million-dollar question. Like, Bo is now broke into the top 15. But even our rankings committee, who is yet to be named, they don't show a tremendous integrity to the system of rankings. They've created their own criterion, which is you can't move up in a ranking until you beat a guy that's ranked ahead of you. Nope. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You can look at somebody like Bo Nickal that's had 8 fights, 8 starts, won every 8 of them. Unless you truly think there's 15 men that can beat him, then you got to put him in his spot. Yep. And they don't do that. And frankly, for D. Ritter to come over as a 2-division champion of another meaningful organization, if you got to figure out where to put him somewhere. They brought in a guy that had no ranking whatsoever and put him in against Pantoja. So it's the first time that we ever looked the other way. And frankly, it was the right fight, and it was fairly competitive until it wasn't, right? Yeah. So the night that Pantoja fought someone not in the top 15, I thought it was very good for our industry. We cannot keep listening to a rankings committee that is unnamed. They have not demasked themselves. We don't know anything about them other than every Tuesday morning by 9 a.m., they put out a new list. I think it lacks integrity. It definitely lacks transparency.
Hey, Chael, that transparency is, we've always asked for it, but there are a couple things that we don't really want transparency on. One is open scoring. I don't know what your feelings are on that, but did you see the fight last weekend with Yusuf Zalal and Calvin Kattar? Zalal was up 2-0, and then in the third round, he just kind of ran away. That would happen a lot more if there was open scoring. That literally was the example of what would happen if we had open scoring. Chael, before we get out of here, I want to ask you one thing.
And are you a supporter of open scoring? I mean, that really does take away dramatic effect. I don't like it. I beg them, don't touch that. It's fine the way it is.
I don't like it because I think, like, if you're Yusuf Zalal, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. Calvin Kattar is pursuing him with the idea that he has to knock him out. Faraz Zahabi said, you've got to throw 300 strikes. And Calvin Kattar tried to. And he just ran away. He literally just gave away the third round. And that's what most people would do when they knew they were winning, especially in title fights. Could you imagine going into the fourth round up 39-36, knowing that all you got to do is get to the final bell and you're the UFC world champion? You are going to run like you've never ran before in your life. And we had that on display last weekend watching those guys fight and watching how Zalal approach that third round. Chael, one guy who is not running, though, is Alex Pereira. He will fight anybody, anytime. He is a bad, bad man, Chael. But, Chael, we spoke about this 2 weeks ago, and now my concern level is even higher. This dude was seen in Australia last week, still. And he was shaking the hand of Drake as Drake went on stage for his concert. One, Drake constantly loses millions of dollars betting on people. So you kind of don't want Drake to bet on you because he doesn't have the greatest track record for winning. But what is Pereira still doing in Australia, Chael? He fights in 2 weeks.
It's concerning to me. I mean, the whole thing is very concerning. One of the reasons I love Stipe as a fireman is Stipe was able to lock down. The UFC and everybody else respected that schedule so much that he slept in the same bed most nights. He was eating the same food, training with the same people, having the same coaches. It's tough on the road. You can get that training session in, but it usually involves a treadmill at the hotel lobby. Maybe you and your coach clear a little bit of space, even in your room, and you do a mitt workout. It's not the same. That training is not the same. Meanwhile, you got Uncle Live doing no media, no tours, and he's locked down in the Caucasus regions, in the mountains. I think that it's relevant. I think that Pereira, listen, he's a 2-1 underdog. Talking about Pereira, he's a 2-1 underdog.
In this
but
fight,
things like aren't going to change that.
he's the dog in this fight. Pereira is
Underdog.
wow.
There is no mythical opponent they've ever put Pereira against, including times where they matched him up at heavyweight. Even a mythical line. The only one that exists is where Pereira is the underdog is Ankalaev, and it's 2-1.
That's a big one. And Ankalaev is already here. He's in Vegas. I ran into him at the PI last week, and he is honestly so locked in, ready to win this fight against Alex Pereira. But Chael, he started as an underdog, but now it's even. So the public has bet him to even, Chael. But the people, the odds makers, the people that set the lines, set it in Ankalaev's favor, like you said. But the world they can't see Pereira losing because they're so enamored with him. But I got back from Australia, and all last week, Chael, I'm up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I don't care that Pereira's got weeks to get ready. He's going to be ready. He's going to be prepared. But even those 2 to 3 extra days, Chael, where he's adjusting his clock to get back on schedule in Connecticut, then once he's done in Connecticut, to fly to Vegas, right, the week of the fight, get adjusted to 2 more hours. He's going to have to deal with all that travel and all that difference in time. And where's Glover? Is Glover just in Australia with him? Is it just him and Plinio? Because we know that Plinio Cruz has been a massive, massive tool for Alex Pereira. But so has Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira has kids. Glover Teixeira is the guy, honestly, that should be doing the most work with Alex right now because of the wrestling. Plinio's a great grappler, right? Plinio needs to be overseeing Glover just shooting on Pereira because I don't care what Ankalaev says, Chael. He has to be smarter than to go out there and try to just stand with Pereira for 25 minutes. He has to know that he's got to secure takedowns.
Yeah, I agree with that fully. And one thing on paper, though, so many people do believe that we have our classic striker, kickboxer versus wrestler, striker versus grappler. I believe that, too, for a small period of time. But as you start to really look into Ankalaev, he's a kickboxer. He just happens to be from Pakistan. In fact, when he writes his thing down, who am I representing? He's not representing grappling or sambo or judo or wrestling. He represents kickboxing. Yep. He does most of his work, of his better work, on his feet. Now, being on his feet too long, he is susceptible. I think Jan Blachowicz even exposed a little bit of that. I tend to side with you that he's going to say one thing in the media and pull a double cross in the ring. I also think he should do that. But as far as it being a striker versus a grappler, I mean, we got to take these guys at their word. And Ankalaev says about himself, he says, I'm a kickboxer. We're forced to accept that. Yeah, we are. We have to believe him, right? When a guy tells you something and he tells you in that way, you got to believe him. But I believe as a guy that's been around the game, and I agree with you that when he starts to take those kicks, because one of the biggest issues he had with Jan Blachowicz was dealing with the leg kicks. And his legs got beat up so badly that he couldn't stand anymore. It looked like the fight was going to get stopped due to leg kicks. We all know Pereira has tremendous leg kicking ability. We're going to see that guy that fought round 4 and 5 against Blachowicz, especially as they're watching their video footage and seeing that Blachowicz was able to hold Pereira down for extended periods of time. Pereira better get home. He needs to get home right now and make sure he's locked in because he does have the hardest fight of his title reign to this point, I think, Chael P. Chael P. Daryl ran the ropes the other day. Daryl. Yo, he's such a sweet kid. Dude, what is up with you? Your boy, he can be rough. He can be tough on you, Chael. But to everyone else, he's just such a sweetheart, isn't he? He's such a sweet boy. But he hard on you, though, Chael P. Why? I don't know, but he loved that. That was so funny. We got a clip of it. I don't know if I should tell it or feed Jake the clip later, but when you went heel, went heel to him and swept his foot, it was so well done. I thought you guys had worked that spot out. You grabbed it perfectly. And I thought he rolled with it pretty well too, man. That was a cool moment. That was a cool moment. Yo, what did he do? What did you think of me when I got the foot? When I swept the foot like Jimmy Hart, the mouth of the South? It was so funny. I mean, first off, I don't know how you reached it. There was a lot of things. There was a very athletic movement. You had to reach it. You have to have it tight enough. You got to get it tight. And then the kid's got to fall in one piece. Like there was a lot of things happening that it truly looked like you guys had worked that out before. I thought I went Mark in that situation. I loved it.
Did you see when Chael? Did you see when Mason came off that top rope and he was kind of out of position and Jake goes, he's fine, but Casper's just holding him up on his shoulders. Did you see that?
Yeah.
How? How is he so strong? Mason's a big guy. How? How did he do that?
I didn't know that they could control him that much. Like when Casper was saying, hey, I'm a professional, I got him. Like, yeah, but he's upside down and he's 250 pounds. Like nobody's got him, but he posted him so well with that arm. I did not really realize all the technique and intricacies that go into something like that. I was impressed. I love watching Casper work, man.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. And Thero had a good time.
He's up tonight. He's up tonight on Netflix,
Yes,
isn't he?
yes, he's on Netflix tonight. Yep, we're going to see him tonight. All right, Chael. Well, hey, another episode of Good Guy, Bad Guy. I'll see you at the gym, man. Yeah, hey, my wrestling team's here. My high school wrestling team is in Vegas, so they'll get to see you. We go train at 12 right after the Ultimate Fighter, so maybe you can stop in and say hi to the kids at the PI when you're done.
You get the PI. All right, I'm going to run over. I'm going to bring my son. Thank you.
You're the man, Chael. Till next time, guys. For Chael Sonnen, I'm Daniel Cormier. Peace.